All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode 76 of the Coffee Squad podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about event security, and who better than to have a man who's spent his whole career in the industry, Anton. Welcome, Anton.
Thank you, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Man, I feel like we should have recorded us just BSing in the background here, man. It was really, really good. So that's probably my fault. But yeah, got to know Anton a little bit, man, and some great stuff. So excited to talk about his experience and what he does and what he's done and what Guardian's role does out there. So thank you. Thanks for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So Anton has over 25 years of security experience, providing top-rated security for the world elite, executives, celebrities, and talent across more than 60 countries. He built a 5-division operation from the ground up and drove the firm to the largest celebrity protection agency in the Eastern U.S. Excuse me. He's the head of security and advance for over a dozen multi-platinum Grammy award-winning artists. He's done a bunch like 50 Cent, Alicia Keys, Lil Wayne, Ariana Grande, and more. He's also been recognized for his role as event security director over 1,000 live concerts, events, music festivals, sporting events like the Super Bowl. Looks like you've done multiple Super Bowls down there, right?
Yeah, everyone in Florida.
Everyone in Florida. NCAA football and the championships, Rolling Loud, MLS soccer. He's got a pretty good resume on that. He is a member of the American Society for Industrial Security. You hear us talk a lot about ASIS on here. The Event Safety Alliance, and a graduate of the EPI, and a member of the 9 Lives Associates, and a certified security trainer by the Academy of Security Educators and Trainers. Whew, that's a mouthful.
That's a lot, right? Sounds cool.
I miss anything?
Was that? No, I think you got it, man. Also, he's a Capricorn. He likes long walks on the beach.
There you go.
He enjoys a good cigar.
That's just like you, Jake.
Exactly. You covered it. You nailed it. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So, Will, impress Anton here with
here we
what
go.
you're drinking here.
All right, so a friend of mine got me a new kind of coffee. It's called Kicking Horse Coffee, and I kick ass dark roast. It's sweet, smoky, and audacious.
Man,
So
are they paying you for that?
They are not, but it's delicious. Yeah.
So, Anton, I don't know if you've heard some of the podcasts. Last week we had Mariah on talking about women in security, and off the air, I forget what sound she made, and I told her, and I'm sorry, Mariah, I told her I would give Will a hard time this week about it. I don't know. She made some like fancy sound about Will and his little snooty coffee and like cigar aficionados, right?
She called it bougie.
Oh boy, the B word.
Yeah. Like a cigar aficionado, like you can pick up subtle hints in a cigar, same with wine, all that stuff. So
sure.
Will's thing is coffee. And I give him a hard time.
It's actually beer, but I don't usually drink beer this early in the morning, so I stick with the coffee.
AM coffee, PM beer. That's the way we roll.
Beer, bourbon, coffee. What else is there?
Absolutely. I like you guys are ready.
Yeah.
What about you, Jake? What kind of sparkly, girly water are you drinking?
I just got regular water, man.
Oh, that's right. You're in training, so you got to.
I'm smoked. I mean, I have the same like little Pellegrino from last week, but yeah, man, I did that workout this morning. I'm doing an open channel crossing in November. It's 32 miles straight on a stand-up paddleboard, but it's more like 35. I did it last year, and I didn't train a whole lot for it. But this year I'm actually training and taking it serious because it was painful last year. So
sounds painful.
Yeah.
What about you, Anton? I saw you drinking water. You got any?
I'm on some Nestle Pure Life right now, but I will warn your audience that I'm on 2 cups of Pike's Place already. So I'm ready to start spitting fire.
Nice.
Let's do this. Let's jump into it because I'm sure there's a lot of good stories you can tell and good insight too. I mean, I get a lot of people asking like, "Hey, how do I get into physical security? What should I do?" Especially some of my buddies getting out of the military. Some are soft, some are our support guys. And so I think a good way to start is like, Anton, how did you get into the business?
When I was a kid, man, I was 18 years old, and down here in Florida, as you probably know, like Miami, South Beach, West Palm, like clubs are a big deal, nightclubs. So I got into the nightclub deal when I was 18. The word, I don't like using the word bouncer, but that's what it was. and I started running. I became the head of security pretty quickly at a bunch of clubs out here. And then one of the clubs we had was next door to a concert venue called Revolution, which is similar to like a House of Blues type format. 2,000 to 3,000 people in occupancy, a courtyard, a stage. So different bands like 30 Seconds to Mars or like, you know, Pink or whatever, like, you know, they would, the type of bands that weren't big enough to go to stadiums would go over there and do their events. And I remember, oh boy. And I remember there was a rapper named T.I. that was there one night, and I was running the club next door. We had all the clubs in Lauderdale at the time. It was called China White. And then the owner walked in, ran in, hey, Anton, I need help. We're getting overwhelmed. And they had in-house guys. He goes, do you have anybody that you can spare? So me and a couple of my guys went over there, saved the day, I guess you could say. I knew TI security because I do the same thing on close protection. So we were able to like settle everything down. And he's like, listen, you guys did great. You know, how can we repay you? I was like, give us this contract. So we started working for him at his live concert venue, and every concert that went through there, we protected. And that's how I got my start in the event security space through that venue.
What would you recommend for someone, I don't know, let's say, you know, a little bit of military experience, maybe 4 or 5 years, who's thinking about getting into this, or someone who, hey, you know, maybe they've done college a little bit and they're, it's not for them, but they want to get into the executive protection. How do you recommend them getting into your industry? Now, I'm sure it's changed from when you started to where it is now.
I think in the event world, I think if anybody wants to get involved in the event security side, I think you have to look at it as a part-time job. I don't think you could look at it as a full-time job, because events are events. They happen on weekends. They happen on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, right? Like you're really not throwing a Beyonce concert at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. You know what I mean? So you need to look, if you're going to get in the event world, look at it just as that. And a lot of my event guys are awesome guys. They're great at what they do. But they got full-time gigs. You know, one of my guys is a vice principal at a local high school. Another guy's a cop. Another guy works at Home Depot. Like, you got to look at it as a part-time job if you're getting in the event world, unless you're going to do something where you're actively touring. And as far as the EP side or the CP side, the celebrity protection side, that's a full-time job. That's something that you can dive into and expect to make a good a living. You know, you can make 6 figures doing that, but you're going to be gone 300 days a year. So if you're looking to get in the event world, I think you attack it in a position to where this is my side money. And I think if you're looking to get into the EP, CP world, you attack it into thinking, this is my life. I'm going to be a gypsy for the next, 300 days this year. So that's how you got to look at it going into it.
What type of training, should someone expect? And, I get this a lot too, of like, hey, I want to do what you do. Well, look, homie, you didn't do X amount of time.
Right.
And doing it. Like, I started, at the ground and like came up. And I think a lot of people today just they see where you are at, or I'm at, or Will's at, or, someone else who's done very well in the security. And it's like, oh, I can go do that. Like, it usually doesn't work, So I guess for training, like, someone came to you and said, hey, Anton, like, I want to get into kind of what you do. What type of training would you say, hey, man, these are the skills you need to bring?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't started getting into the training side outside of Guardian guys ever. I mean, we're 15 years in. I've never done it. But now I went to EPI, as you mentioned. They have a great school out there. I think ESI's got a good program from what I hear as well. La Sorsa, as we both know, that guy is the best at what he does. I definitely think you got to get some kind of certification. And I don't think you walk into this thinking you're just going to learn this as you go. I did that the hard way. I didn't get certs until later on. And I remember going to EPI. They have a 100-hour course, and during the course, I was thinking to myself, "Man, I know most of this, but shit." Oh, so I don't know. Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
But all right. But shit, I wish I did this 20 years ago. I wouldn't have made half the mistakes I've made. So I think as far as training goes, definitely getting some kind of certification from an EP school would be great. ASIS has a great program as well, because it's going to do. I'm not plugging these guys. I'm not promoting them. I'm just saying a lot of my mistakes were made because I did it by user error. Had I done some of these certs before, I wouldn't have made half the mistakes I made. So there's plenty of schools out there for that. I think also, MMA is great. Weightlifting is great. Shooting's great. Like, definitely try to go to people smarter than you in those areas and learn off of them, because they are going to apply. You are going to have to do. Hopefully, you never have to pull your firearm out, but you are going to physically get involved with people on a daily basis. I mean, all the time you're physically getting involved. So it's good to know some kind of training as far as that goes. Now, I'm not saying be a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but at least know enough, know a little more than the next guy that you're approaching. I mean, that'll keep you safe and keep you working.
I think that's great advice. I mean, I know we talked a little bit about Joe and the connections, and I think, I think we should have that little conversation just a little bit, about, and I've said this numerous times on the show, but Joe LaSource has been a phenomenal mentor to us and to many other people, and his attitude. And I think it's his attitude and his professionalism. And a lot of people say professionalism around a lot and kind of loosely, but Joe, to me, is a consummate professional. He is who he says he is and does what he says he does, and provides an excellent service. And I've been to some of his courses and absolutely loved him. And that's how I went to one of his courses and just saw the way him and some of his instructors were teaching. I was blown away. And then the students there, they were repeat students, a lot of them. Yeah. And they're repeat students because of how he teaches and who he is, and just I think it's his attitude, right? The sharing and the giving. So Joe, if you're listening, man, thanks, man. Thanks for being a great mentor out there.
I agree, man. I think that, when you think salt of the earth, you think Joe. You know what I mean? And as far as someone that's born to do it, we're all born to do different things. Like Michael Jordan was born to play basketball. When you think somebody's born to do it, that guy was born to teach. I mean, he genuinely cares. And like I told you guys before we got on this, got live, he's got nothing to gain out of it. He just wants to see people do better. That says a lot for somebody that's not making any kind of money off of this, or he just wants to help people, which is so rare, because for the majority of the EP world, CP world, event world, what's in it for me? Where's my cream, right? But that guy doesn't care. He just genuinely wants to see people do well. And I think that's why guys like you, Jake, and Will, and myself are attracted to that kind of philosophy, because it's so rare. And to have somebody that's born to do it, and to have the skill set that he has and the knowledge he has, and just want to give that forward, it's very rare, and it definitely does not go unappreciated, at least by you guys and myself, obviously.
Yeah, ego. We see a lot of egos, right, when we're talking about that, right? And I think self-pride and company pride is a good thing, and I think ego sometimes really, especially in this industry, and I saw it in the military a lot, is can be a downfall of a lot of people and a lot of companies. And you see these people. The security industry is wide and it's vast. A lot of people don't have a lot of experience, and they spout off this stuff and they make these cool guy videos. We're talking about shooting before coming on here. There's a lot of YouTube shooting videos.
I hate it.
And I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? You're going to get yourself killed, get someone else killed.
They're going to get their students killed. They're going to get their
people. I saw this guy do a 360, ninja chop thing. And I'm going through a door, and I'm like, that's some crap I saw an Afghan commando do one time, kidding around. You're seriously trying to teach this crap. So I think Joe's ego, or lack of ego, is really what sets him apart. And then his circle. I always say, hey, if you're a friend of Joe, you're already vetted. Joe's vetted you for me, and I'm good to go. I trust you.
But Jake, couldn't Joe make 1 million of those freaking videos, and couldn't he be number one? I mean, this guy. I mean, but he's not that guy, which is another reason we love him so much. But then again, every fraudy guard, I call them fraudy guards, fraud guards. Every fraudy guard in the world is out there. Look at me, I'm shooting this, I'm doing that, and like we said, they're going to get somebody killed. But you got a guy like Joe that's got the wealth of knowledge that doesn't self-promote himself like that and whore himself out. Rather, he's that quiet guy that just stays on the right path. And I think I haven't had the pleasure of meeting his father. I spoke to his father before on the phone, and I think it's in his blood. I think that comes from just being born to do this.
Yeah, I say in the soft world, we're quiet professionals. That's what Joe LaSource is. LaSource and Associates. I'd say everyone that's attached to him.
Except for Mitch. He's not that quiet.
I love Mitch, man. I love Big Mitch, man. I love getting him on the phone, getting him riled up. I like to give him a hard time about seals, man. We call them squeals, but man.
I love Mitch, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Anton, can you talk a little bit about kind of what goes into planning for a large scale event, like a Super Bowl or a giant concert, something like that? Just, what the vastness that you actually have to think about.
Offline, we talked a little bit about Manchester, about going back there. I mean, the amount, I think planning, and anybody listening, like, this is the most real thing I'm going to say. It's all about the planning. That you're going to work more hours on planning than you will physically protecting the event if you do it the right way. The more you advance, the more you plan, the more you deal with police and deal with fire, you build that relationship with them. They're going to bring a wealth of knowledge to the table to you. You're going to bring a wealth of knowledge to them. Planning is, to me, the most vital. It's more important than physically protecting an event, I think, because if you plan it the right way, it's like an orchestra. Once you're there, you're the puppet master. You just let it all play out because you did so much homework prior to. And I think that when I plan for events, I know that let's say an event like the Super Bowl or Ultra or Rolling Loud, I'm planning 3 months out, like 90 days out. I'm sending emails, I'm doing dot maps, credential sheets, all that 100 days away from the event. So people are like, oh, wow, that event went well. Yeah, you have no idea how much planning I put into this event to make it go well. So I think that's the most underrated thing when people think about events. They think physical security, locking it down. Yeah, that's great. But really, the planning is the meat and potatoes of the whole event.
And I don't think people realize the amount of detail that goes into a planning, especially, when you're it's a musician or a movie star, something like that, when they're going to a music hall. You don't own the music hall. The music hall owns the music hall. They have their own event staff. It's usually a unionized place. So now you got to follow by their rules. And you can't go in there saying, well, do you know who the hell I am, and puff your chest up and,
they don't care.
They don't care. It's their house, their venue. And then you go to local police department and you can't do the same thing. They don't care. You're one of a million that coming through, that they've seen. So
you nailed it. You nailed it. That's so important. That's so important for people to understand. Like I always talk about, these guys don't make $1 off of you. Like you have no say in anything. You're in their house. So what I always do is when I meet with the venue security, let's say I'm in, I don't know, Idaho, and I meet with event security there. It's all about respect. This is your house. I'm your guest. How do you guys do things? This is what I would like. And is this okay? That goes a long way, rather than, listen, this is what I need. I know, you kick down the door, new sheriff in town. They're going to look at you like you're an asshole. And quite frankly, you are. If you are. Yeah. And the same thing with police. Like, what am I going to do? When I go to PDs, when I go sit down with these guys, what a jerk I would be if I said, this is what I want and this is the way I need it to be. No, what do you guys have in play? What can you tell me that you have in play? And this is what I would like to see as well. Can we work together and make that happen? And I think ultimately we all have the same goal, and that is a safe event. So when you're doing police and fire is very important too. Like don't forget those guys, because especially in South Florida, we call them cold blues, medical calls. Like, people pass out all the time. I mean, it's so hot down here, and people are on drugs and they're on alcohol and they forget to hydrate or whatever. So you need to build that good rapport and just speak to police and fire and say, hey guys, what do you guys have in play? This is what I would like to see. I think that goes a lot further than, I need these demands and this is the way we're going to do it. They'll say F you and get out of my face, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I've always tried to get to know them. Like, get to know those, who you're dealing with. If it's that section chief of the fire department or police department or the security of the venue hall, get to know them, man. Find out what they like. Grab them, take them to lunch sometimes. I've done that and it's paid off. It's like, oh man, you really give a shit. You really give a shit about me, and it pays off. Well, now you got to bleep it out at 2053.
It's little things like that, man. Like, especially nowadays, let's face it, cops they have a tough job these days. They're getting spit at, flicked off. I mean, it's tough to be a cop, body cams, all that, everything's scrutinized. Take a minute and just be like, hey man, I'm going to make your life easier. You're not going to fill out paperwork with me. You're not going to arrest anybody with me. I'm going to sit back and collect your time and a half, and I'll do all the work. And you would be surprised how much they welcome that. And when you treat them with respect, because let's face it, they're not being respected as much as they should be these days. So when you come into the door as the director of security for whatever you're doing, whatever major event you're doing or whatever artist you're doing, sure, you could pop your chest out and be that guy, but it goes so much further when you're not, and you show them that you're on their side and you're going to make their lives easier. So, that gets a lot, you get more bees with honey than vinegar. So I think that applies more now than ever.
All right, so guys, check your ego at the door.
Absolutely.
With kind of, oh man, I just had a thought, and now it just left me right as I had to throw that little.
You need more coffee, man.
Yeah, he doesn't drink coffee, unfortunately.
I should. I'm sucking today, but
what's some of the more unique challenges? You know, I know you talked about coordinations and stuff like that. Is there any other unique challenges depending on the venue that you kind of come across?
I mean, right now, my current challenges right now are staffing, getting guys to work, getting girls to work. Labor issues are a big deal. Florida, as you guys probably know, our governor is a cowboy. He opened the whole state up at one time. So I'm trying to drink water out of a fire hose right now as far as job orders go. So staffing and labor issues are a big deal. COVID's still a thing down here. I mean, so I'm dealing with COVID things. Guys don't want to work because of COVID. And now what we're noticing with like Live Nation and like the NFL and NCAA, they want mandatory vaccinations. And now I got to fight that battle with my team. And listen, I don't want to get into that. We don't have enough time and not enough coffee to get into who wants to be vaxxed and who doesn't want to be vaxxed. But I'm a freaking pincushion. I've been to 60 countries, as you said. I've been shot up for everything. Might as well shoot me up. I just want to go to work. But a lot of my guys are, you know, a concern I have now is a lot of guys are like, oh, F that. I'm anti-vax. I'm not doing that. It's not FDA approved. Well, now it is FDA approved, right? We just found out yesterday. Yeah. So now what's your excuse? But so that's been my issue is making the call. So for like example, at the stadium, I'll need over 100 guards for soccer. It'll be a 125 guard call. I might have 15 people not show up, and I'm not used to that. But well, somebody got COVID, or somebody was in close contact, or somebody is afraid of COVID, or somebody is getting a government check, or somebody who doesn't want to be out in the hot Florida sun when they can sit on their couch in the AC and get government money. So that's been the biggest issue I've been dealing with now.
I was up before the show. We were kind of talking about an event that I was helping out with, and watching the COVID protocols of just people coming in. I mean, we're talking about a 1,500 person roughly attendee, not very big, a super small event, but the profiles that were showing up were massive. And so their guidance and demand was everyone who shows up here has to have a COVID vaccine, and they have to have a PCR test before they show up, you know, kind of like when you fly international, right? Within 72 hours. I got mine too. But so then it's logistically, how do you plan that? How do you plan? And there's apps, there's Clear, and there's other stuff that are out there, but it's not as easy and as simple as someone just flipping it on. You know, it's not like going and ordering a metal detector and like having your 20 metal detectors there.
You're right about that. And but you know what? Like the clients don't care. You know, like I have a very large pop artist that her father, I met with him last week in LA, and he said, Anton, if your guys aren't vaxxed, I don't want them around my daughter. All right. Well, I tell my guys, you're going to lose this 6-figure freaking salary because you're not. Listen, I can't get into it. I can't get into religion. I can't get into politics as a CEO. Right. I gotta stay away from that. But the dad is saying that, and the word itself, our job title is close protection officers. The word close is in there. So if you're going to be close to them, they want you vaxxed. They're not crazy for that. It's his daughter. If you don't want to do it, cool. You think he loves you so much, he'll find another bodyguard that'll do it. You know. So I think we're in that position. Like I can't say, guys, I'm not freaking Fauci. Like I can't say, guys, go get vaxxed, but I can say you will lose your job if you're not, and they'll find another.
Well, that's
guy.
the thing, right? Like it's for employees to mandate it now. Now you're taking on the risk if someone goes and gets sick or has a bad reaction.
Now you're guilty.
Yeah, you're liable for that.
Sure.
But if you don't get it and the client's requiring, I got it to go to Jordan and to fly back, right?
Yeah.
Something if I wanted to do and stay in this, it was like kind of like you. I waited long enough. I saw enough people get it.
Yeah.
Saw the negative side effects. I decided to go to the Johnson & Johnson, and I got it. Then they had the embolisms. People started getting embolisms. I'm an amputee, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm going to travel, sit on a plane for 19 hours as an amputee who's already had a DVT. You know, luckily for me, I didn't have it. But if you want to do your job, man, sometimes there's a little bit of a price to pay. You know, in the military, I got smallpox, anthrax multiple times. It's the price to do the job. I'm not here to discuss it like you. I won't talk about religion and politics because it's a no-win. You know, you're never going to win. You're never going to change someone's mind unless you're Will over there. who's changed my mind a lot. It switched me from one side to the other. But
it's not our job to change my. As you said, it's politics, religion. We can't talk about it, right? But I'm the guy taking the job orders. I'm the guy. I'm the guy posting.
You got to meet the client's needs.
Yeah, I'm the one saying, guys, we got this job order. By the way, you need to be vaxxed. So when they're telling me that, look, don't take it. God bless. Don't take it. But just know that it's going to go to somebody who's got it. So that's been a big issue for me.
Have you noticed? I was working in another state, just kind of observing them do stuff for a major event, and they were saying that off-duty cops, they're having a harder time now. They don't know if it's generational. It could just be in that location, but they're having a harder time now getting off-duty cops to do event security.
Well, I think that it depends on the genre. Like off-duty cops, like we just did a festival, 80,000 people called Rolling Loud at Dolphin Stadium. And by the way, 3 of my guys got COVID that weekend. It was a freaking super spreader event, but whatever. We did the event, and we were with Rolling Loud for the first 4 years. And all 4 years, we killed it. We did a great job. Zero mistakes happened. 2019, they hired some guy that's never done rap before. He's done only pop. And it depends on the genre. Like I'm saying, like that's a big part difference. Of it. Sure. Like if you're used to poppy 14-year-old kids, and you want to come to the rap world as a security guy, it's a different ballgame, different animal. So needless to say, I pulled all my guards out. I said, we're not going to work on, because I only got 100 guys. Like you need 500 for that. So you need multiple security companies. But we handle like the back of house, artist escort, stage, barricades, like the meat and potatoes. So I said, listen, this guy's never done it. We're pulling out. I'm out of here. And then with ample time. And then that year, everything went to crap. And, broken fence lines, active shooter scare, a golf cart was stolen. A girl got her mouth wired shut from a stampede. Like it was just a mess. So then they ended up calling us back and saying, Anton, we just want Guardian back there. What do we got to do? Of course, I said, you got to pay us double. Like my guys need to get paid well. But part of my pitch was, the cops don't want to work here. Like the cops that worked Friday and Saturday, just on Sunday, they said I had enough, and it's not worth it. So, like I spoke to the lieutenant that was there. He said a third of his guys didn't want to show up on Sunday. Now, it has to do with the genre. Had it been pop or EDM or whatever, symphony, sure they'd be there. It's time and a half. It's great money. But I think a lot of reason why police don't want to deal, it has to do with the type of event they're dealing with. They're not going to want to work a rap festival. Who blames them? You know what I mean? I don't.
And the
I don't
war
like
on
it.
cops, right? We talked about war on cops, right? So why do you want to go put? And I'm not saying, a rap that's a large section, but who wants to go put their lives on the line? I don't want to go work and support someone who is anti-military and talks crap about the military, because I dedicated my life to doing that. And just like a cop dedicates his life to that profession, I don't care how much money you'd pay. And I think cops are the same way. Like, look, man, if you're going to talk crap about my profession, and demean us, why pay? So,
I mean, you nailed it. That's exactly the mindset. And a lot of my guys are cops, and a lot of my guys leave to me to become cops. That's always bittersweet. You lose a good guy, but you're proud of them at the same time. So we're definitely pro cop here. And yeah, there are some asshole cops and there are some jerks, but the majority of them are awesome guys and they're heroes. And they don't get treated with the proper respect that they should, especially with the rap genre, because it's a younger crowd as well. It's the millennial crowd and it's a different, it's not, we talked about Tortuga. It's not the same crowd. There, maybe over there, it might be a little bit easier to be a cop off duty and work there, wherein you're going to Rolling Loud. It might be a little rougher. So, it's unfortunate that it's position they're in, but I think to recap on the answer to the question, I think finding off-duty guys, it depends on the job. We have symphonies that we protect. Off-duty guys are loving that. They're watching DVDs in their squad car, right? They're fine. But then working Rolling Loud, 110-degree weather index, the only people spitting in your face. It's just like you said, there's not enough money in the world for it. For some of them.
I know, like it's not an apples to oranges comparison, but we would do. I'm a retired cop, and we would have jobs either Black Friday. It was hard to find people to work Black Friday after Thanksgiving, but then working Christmas Eve or Christmas Day at the same place, it was easy because you could just sit there all day and watch your DVD or whatever because nobody's there. That's
exactly right. And also, let's not forget, this is side money for them. They don't need this. A lot of these guys have their pension. A lot of these guys are fine where they're at. A lot of these guys have a nice salary annually. I mean, not, you know, they're okay. This is side money. So why deal with the BS if it's just side money anyway? It's not their career. Like, we have to deal with it as event guys. It's our career. This is how we make our money. But for them, it's just side stuff. So if it's risk to reward. If the reward is not worth the risk, then why do it? I already got my full-time job. I think that's the mindset.
Absolutely.
Yeah, nor do I blame them. Have you seen
likewise.
Technology? Has technology changed, you know, your profession a little bit? Is it starting to catch up?
It's good and bad. It's good and bad. I remember, I mean, we're all about the same age. I remember printing out MapQuest signs, papers in the lobby of the hotel, and using my highlighter. And now everything is GPS and phones. I mean, I sound super old, but I mean, I've been doing this before camera phones were out. You know, like now look at security. Look how great your camera phone is. You know, you could draw dot maps on your camera phone. You could take a picture of an ingress or egress, do arrows. You could do all sorts of things. So it's definitely a blessing and a curse. I think where it falls as a curse, and you know, I've talked about this at La Source's place before. Social media. I think a lot of times on the close protection side, you know, dealing with the celebrities that we deal with, they publicly post where they're at all the time. They telling themselves, you know, I'm at this hotel, and here's proof. You know, look at this. Look at what happened to Kim. You know, with Kardashian in Paris. Like, had she never posted that, maybe that armed robbery would have never happened. So technology to me is a blessing and a curse. It makes our lives easier as guards. Plus, we have that see something, say something apps all over the place now, and I think that at the stadium for sure we have that as well, down to a spill on the ground. Like, you can post that slippery floor up to somebody circling the venue in a gas truck. You know what I mean? Like, everything you see, you can see and say technology has been a blessing, but it's also been a curse, because I think oftentimes with me, I have to pull my principals aside and just, hey, can you please take that down? And here's why, you know, and they don't know better. They think that, oh, I got 20 million fans that love everything about me. Okay, but there's one that wants to wear your skin on your face. You know, like, like, let's worry about that. Let me worry about that guy. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, so we've done that for ultra high net worth individuals. And I think I've talked about this on the show a little bit. You know, they get it, but their family members, their sons, their daughters, right? They don't always get it. We had one gentleman traveling overseas to open up a
drives you nuts, right?
That he was doing. And like, we set out the whole program. We have our scrapers that we're scraping, and we're looking, you know, for any threats that are coming in, social media, news, anything. And sure enough, their son and daughter are posting like, can't wait to go to X country and look at this. And we're like, so guess what? Now that just cost your dad another $100,000, because now we got to get 2 more guys on a red-eye flight, last-minute flight, flying overseas, you know, to protect you. So I think technology, like you, it's a good thing.
I talk about this. It is. It's a blessing and a curse. And I talk about this situation. I won't mention the artist, but he's huge, monster. And we did a covert mission to where he wanted to go to a hotel, and he didn't want anybody knowing where he was at. This guy gets followed everywhere he goes. So I said, listen, you can't post anything. And I told all his buddies, listen, we're not posting anything. Put it down. The principal doesn't want us to be known here. Like, he just wants to unwind. He couldn't help himself. He took a selfie of himself with a purple drape behind him. And I talked about this at La Source's course. And he's one of the most followed people in the world. Purple drape. I see it because I have to follow these guys, because they're going to tell themselves anyways. I have to follow them. So I see it. And I go downstairs to set the vehicles up, and I'm back at house. The vehicles are in the loading dock. Nobody even knows we're there. But somehow there's a lady there with her daughter. And I'm like, how did you know? Like this was so covert. We're not even using Escalades. Like, we're using whatever, like regular cars. Like, how did you know we did this so covert? She said that her daughter's his biggest fan, and she saw the purple drape, so she went on Expedia and looked at every purple drape hotel in the vicinity, and that's how he knew that he was at this hotel. So it's like something. I mean, a 12-year-old kid figured that out. What can a stalker do? You know, what can a bad guy do? You know, so technology is a blessing and a curse.
And you see it out there, you know. And I know there's technology starting to come up. I have a good buddy who's working on a little bit of technology for the EP celebrity protection side of the house with the stalkers, right? Going on target for us. You know, we used to, back in the day, we called them baseball cards, but have a little, like the quarterback, NFL quarterback, little wrist thing. We call, you know, and you're just flipping through like, yep, nope, okay, yep, that's the guy, you know, and there's a paper thing and a little insert. But now taking that digitally, and doing stuff, there's, like you said, taking a picture or video of the same gas truck going around or the same guy like creeping around.
Well, the good news is they've got, when you talk about, they got facial recognition now. So I know a lot of top tier, and I think off record, we spoke earlier. We have a colleague that works for an artist. I think he uses that for his artists, where you have facial recognition now. To where before, what I used to do, old school again, old guy. I used to, well, I still do it. I'll put their picture as my screensaver. So if I'm there, I'm always looking at my phone. Every time I look at my phone, I see that guy's face. And that way it gets programmed. So when what I'll do is I'll go to general admission or I'll go to VIP and I'll tell the police, this is the guy. I'll tell local security director, this is the guy, Bolo, right? And we'll look for the guy. But now there's facial recognition. So where you're walking through the security gates, through the magnetometers, and you don't know, but there's a camera there that targets, and boom, that guy just hit. He just walked in through the northwest gate, and at 2:15 p.m. So again, it's a blessing, but it's also a curse. So it's not, it's both.
It's a double-edged sword. What is, like, let's talk about some of the events. Like, what is your like favorite one or most unique one or just a crazy event that happened? I don't know. Just
how about a good story that like just you tell people and they're like, no effing way, that didn't happen. But it's funny or comical. I don't know if you have something like that off the top of your head.
Like the type of stuff where you say you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah. But I don't want to get you in trouble with an artist either.
I know. I got to be. I'm trying to put that governor on my. Yeah. I got to be careful. I mean, there's so many. I know that when I do an event security summit, I attend an event security summit, and they got a page in the back of their booklet that says you can't make this shit up or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that sounds funny because we all have those stories that you can't make up. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but I mean, I really can't talk about much that I won't get screwed if I say it, but there's been so many there's been so many situations. I mean, good and bad. Where when you say favorite event, my favorite events are the ones that are over at 5 o'clock and everyone goes in their cars and no one's on drugs. The symphony, for example, I love doing that. The ones that suck, listen, these are my clients. I love you guys. Don't take offense, but Ultra, Rolling Loud, like these are ones where we're rescuing people like every 10 seconds. There's fights every 10 seconds. I collected 9 firearms at the artist entry at Rolling Loud on Friday. Like that sucks. But I mean, when I don't think that the civilian world understands all that goes into security, but you can't make this up, man. You can't make this stuff up. There's so much that goes into it. There's so many close calls that people don't realize, that I think people take for granted. I think people are just like, we're fine at the event. Yo, you don't know. Like this could have been this could have went south very quickly.
I went to a summer sanitarium. That's what they called it. It's kind of, I don't know what they call it now. It's like a heavy metal festival back in the day. And this girl was about 3 seconds from getting trampled by a mosh pit mob. And the security guy just reached over the barrier, picked her up. And I mean, like you said, they were just so close to something tragic probably happened. But he was on the spot and took it. Yeah.
Dude, it could happen in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
We talk about like crime, right? And like, some major, some petty crime. I mean, you said you picked up 9 firearms going to an event
on a Friday.
But one thing, that goes into play always, I guess, I think about a lot is terrorism. Luckily, knock on wood, we haven't had some major attacks here. We may see something pick up here due to recent events, but, large events that you protect and you do, we used to go to sporting events like, oh my gosh, all you need is a few V beds here and some lone wolf guys with some AKs, and it's a nightmare. And how do you protect that?
Well, I got so much to say about that, man. I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. I think, the reason why listen, what do I know? But my 2 cents is the reason why we haven't seen any terrorism or any attacks as of late was because they go after what they call a success rate, right? They want more bodies, the more people they kill, the better they did, right? So what's happened in the last 16 months? There's no success rate. There's no target. There's no masses. There's no crowds. So that's why it's been quiet. It's not because they decided to be good guys all of a sudden. It's because they didn't have any targets. But now what's happening is, like I said, drinking water out of a fire hose. The floodgates are open. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they hit on us. And to target your point as well, every listener probably in their security companies that they work with, they have color codes. Code blue, somebody's not feeling well. code yellow if there's about to be an issue. I've never had. I started this company in 2005. I never had code black, but I adopted code black 5 years ago, and that's suspicious package. We've never had to have that code before, but now we have to prepare for it. Why is that backpack laying on the ground? Like, we didn't deal with that years ago, but it's happening so much more and so much more frequently that as event security guys, we got to think like the bad guy. We got to think worst case scenario. And unfortunately, terrorism is a very serious threat these days, more now than ever, I believe.
I mean, you think about the '96 Olympic bombing. That was a backpack under the bench, right? So,
well, we discussed with and again, we can't get into it too deep, but we discussed with the Ariana Grande concert in Manchester where the guy had a backpack outside the courtyard, and now 20 children have passed as a result. I think that, and we talked about Vegas as well. I think that what I've noticed as a security guard, now people thank me when I pat them down. Now, when I'm wanting people, when I'm getting into the mags, hey, thank you. I appreciate your service. So thank you. 5 years ago, they were MFing me up and down. It's just my keys. Relax. Please, sir, you got to go back through. And they hated me 5 years ago. But now they're thanking me because I think the public sees that terrorism is a very real threat. And at the end of the day, we're not getting paid a bunch of money, but we're doing the best we can to keep you guys safe so you can have a beer and watch your favorite band. You know what I mean? So that's becoming more and more prevalent. So I want to say thank you to the public for being that way, because in my career, 25 years, I've never been thanked for wanding anyone, and now I am.
So the 9 firearms, were they trying to sneak them in, or did they? I mean, look,
stupid
I've been
security
guilty
guards
of walking through with a knife on me.
Sure,
but that's different than a gun. A gun's a little bit more obvious. But were they trying to sneak it in, or was it just?
I mean, so half of them were trying to sneak it in, and the other half were very honest with me. Hey, I'm carrying, and you let them know. Listen, at the end of the day, it's an NFL compound. You're not going to get in with a firearm. It's I don't care if it's a rap concert or an EDM concert, country, whatever. That's Dolphin property. Like, you're not getting in there. So, we got dogs there as well. Private sector had dogs there, and you let them know. Hey, listen, I speak to these guards. I walk up to them. I talk to them in their ear. Hey, man, are you carrying? Yeah, I got it. Listen, go put it in your car. You're not going to get through here. But some guys try to sneak it in, and they think that they're, fraudy guards. Again, guys that don't know listen, a knife, I get it. We all forget that, but you're not going to forget your pistol in your holster on your belt. You know what I mean? Like, you're trying to do that. So, I mean, I do it to the point to where I try to do it very low key, so they're not embarrassed in front of their principal. Like, hey, man, you might want to do me a favor, put that away. You're not getting through me with that. There's dogs here. But if they're adamant about it, at the end of the day, it's my house. You're not getting in here. So, I'll put them on blast if I need to. But for the most part, it was either sneaking it in or just thinking that they can get through with it. Because maybe you can get through with it at the club that you went to, but you're not getting through it at the Dolphin Stadium. There's no way. Yeah. And so I think that a lot of that's inexperience too. A lot of guys these days, I got my CCW, my G, my D. Doesn't mean shit. You can't carry here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about Guardian Professional Security and how you started it and what it is and how it's grown?
Yeah, sure. I started in 2005. So when I was back bouncer again, when I was 18, 19, 20, I used to run clubs and clean them up. Like, my job, it's like that movie Roadhouse. Everyone used to tell me, you got to watch Roadhouse. And I was like, no. And I finally saw it. I was like, oh shit, that sounds pretty accurate. But I would go to club and I'd clean them up. And then I got my job with 50 Cent. And then I was like the fourth guy on the totem pole there. And then within a year, I became the head guy there. So then I was with him for 4 years. And then I decided to start Guardian in 2005 for reasons I don't want to discuss. But I started Guardian in 2005. And then my first year or two of starting my own company was very difficult. I didn't make any money. I was even pressure cleaning houses with my friend, and I did fugitive recovery as well, bounty hunter. I did that for extra money because I really didn't make anything. And then around the second year, I started catching my pace. And all these clubs that I used to run, I came back and said I got my own thing. So they were like, "Oh, we want your company here." So I ended up getting 17 clubs at our peak. I had 17 nightclubs from South Beach to Palm Beach, and that's how we cut our jib. But in the meantime, I still had the bodyguard experience. So when I made it known that I was no longer with G Unit and I'm no longer associated with them, I'm on my own, I started getting jobs with different artists. So it was all word of mouth. Different artists would tell other artists, or different managers would tell other managers that, you know, he's a good guard, you might want to use him. And that's how I started building. And I just realized at like 06, 07, I can't be everywhere. So let me just start to duplicate everything I know. And that's what I started doing. Alan Knight was my first guard who in 2006, he became Timberland's bodyguard. And I taught him everything I knew, everything. I just downloaded. We talked about how La Sorsa just trains everybody. I trained everything I knew. I downloaded into him. I monitored him. I trained him. And then he proved to me that I can duplicate myself. So I did that again and again and again. And now we've, like you said earlier, largest celebrity protection agency in the Eastern U.S. It's because I was able to install that into these guys. And I have some really awesome guys that really took the ball and just ran with it. And vice versa. They've helped me a lot. They've taught me a lot as well. I mean, their experiences that they've experienced on their individual level have definitely reciprocated to me. And I learn something new every day from these guys. And I hope they do it with me. So that's how Guardian was built, just duplicating myself on the bodyguard level and finding good guys, and good guys bring in other good guys. You know, I don't really publicize I'm hiring. I want bodyguards. Like, you got to kind of know somebody that knows somebody, because they're not gonna vouch for a schlum. So I got out of the nightclub stuff. I told you guys about Revolution. I started doing the concert event thing, and the concert event thing's been doing very well. The bodyguard thing's been doing very well. And now we're getting into, I say bodyguards. I know people don't like that word, but whatever. And now after going to EPI 3 years ago, we're pushing into the EP side, and that's just, we've been able to keep a close knit community. I mean, our guys have been with us 15 years, and they're not going anywhere. They love it here, thankfully, and I try to make them love it here. I try my best to make them happy. So that's been the theme of Guardian. That's been the culture. We're not who's the guy, what's the rate, what's the dates. That's not who we are. We're like, it's more of a family here. I know their families, they know mine, and we try to preach that.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like, you know, a great work environment. And I've always said, look, if you happy employees, they are family, and they're going to stick with you. You may not be able to pay them the most, but if you make them happy, that's a huge thing. That's a huge thing.
But look, I know I'm an asshole too. I know they hate me sometimes, and it's fine. You know, like they all know I'm nuts. But at the end of the day, they know that I care, and I think that goes a long way.
Yeah, they know I'm an asshole every day, so I'm used to it.
At least once or twice. A place of love, so you respect a guy like that.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, anything else you want to talk about?
No, I mean, Anton, this has been great. It's always a small world when we're all connecting, and it's just good to hear what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it. It's good to see good people succeed too.
Yeah. So, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on, and hopefully our viewers and our listeners out there, look, if you're looking into the executive protection, celebrity protection, security, what better source than Anton here, kind of talking about how he did it as an 18-year-old kid. He paid his dues. I think it's so important. You talk about pressure washing and doing all these side hustle jobs just to make it happen. That's success. Very rarely does someone get handed a bag full of money and go make good things happen. So good on you, man. Appreciate all the insight. Hopefully our listeners and viewers get something out of this as well, as where to start and kind of where to go. So great job. Thanks.
I hope so, man. It was a pleasure, Jake. Will, thank you guys for having me. I really enjoyed the conversation. I feel like you guys are, we're cut from the same cloth. So it's always a pleasure speaking to guys that have the same background and passion that I have. So I appreciate you guys having me. It was an honor, and I'm looking forward to hopefully another time.
Oh, yeah, hey, definitely. Anton, do you want to talk where people can find your company? I know Will had it on the screen, but for the listeners out there.
Sure. So protectedbyguardian.com, guardiansworld.com, and Instagram is @guardiansecurity. And I'm on LinkedIn too. And I'm cool that, if you guys if anybody wants to reach out, just to even ask a question, I'll take a page out of Joe La Sorsa and do what I can to try to help out. Anything that helps the industry is a plus. So that's where they could find us, protectedbyguardian.com.
Awesome. Appreciate you hopping on the show. Everybody, don't forget, check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com. It's the Coffee Squad Podcast, or go to our Coffee Squad Podcast page, www.coffeesquadpodcast.com. We will talk to you guys next week. We appreciate you coming on, Anton.
Thank you, guys. My pleasure.
Have a good one.
Thanks.